What's going on, guys? So this is a video that's been requested a few times by a man named Silly Goober. So this one's for him today. So what we're gonna do today is we're gonna go over and discuss how the Imaginators Nerf works. So for those of you who don't know, when you play through games like Trap Team or Swap Force, and then you go and play Imaginators, your cores will feel a lot weaker and it'll just make experience a lot worse. The thing about this thing that we're talking about though is it's not necessarily a nerf as much as it is a buff of other Skylanders per se. So it's the other Skylanders feel weaker because the other Skylanders in the game are so much stronger. In Superchargers, this happens because the people just are a lot stronger. But yeah, let's take a look right here at our first game and see just we're just gonna use Gilgun today. We're gonna go through the four later games in the series and see just how the damage numbers change as we go through. So as you can see, we're doing like 45 damage here, 32 with our water cannon, and it's actually in this game I would say a lot more powerful than it is in other games. It's an interesting concept because you just as you pay attention to these damage numbers throughout the series, it's hard to just say, oh, this Skylander feels so much worse in this game, because it's not necessarily worse as it is the other Skylanders are just better and the damage numbers are different.
Looking good.
So, and after we finish up this one, we have our 45 to 32 ratio for our primary to secondary. So we'll move on to Trap Team next. Take a look at what this same Gilgrunt does in this game instead. So let's see, we does 140, oh no, 96 base, so that's 144 on a crit. But he also feels a lot slower in this game. That's another thing, because in every game that you play, the Skylander is going to feel a little different. If it's not the same as it was in the previous game, it's going to have a more interesting damage number. And there we go. We have a 96 to 112 for that one, which is kind of interesting. We have in that game is what do you call it? Harpoon does less damage than the gun, which is super interesting because the first one we looked at it was the opposite. From this one we are looking at it, it's looking like the exact same damage numbers as earlier in the swap portion. But we also have that ability for the Wow Pow on this guy. And that did a little bit less damage than it did on the other one. So yeah, same number for that game. So Superchargers looks identical. And now as we move on to Imaginators, there's not a great way, there's not just training dummies like there are in other games on this one. But as you can see, Gilgrunt just looks significantly worse than he does in other games. He's doing like 35, 25. Yeah, that it just looks terrible. But it also comes down to the fact that in games like Trap Team, the damage numbers are a lot higher. So enemies will have more health because your characters deal more damage. And then in the rest of the series, like our base that we got earlier where we have 45 to 32 for two different games is because of the fact that we just have like a base value for most games, but then for some reason Activision decided to change it in Trap Team, and then they also changed it up a little bit in Imaginators. And as you saw in those Imaginators, it looks like he's weaker, like I said, but he's really just he's the same as he is in other games, but the enemies are stronger and the senseis do a lot more damage than the cores from other games do, so it makes it look just like a lot more complicated. It's a very interesting concept, and it's kind of hard to understand at a moment's glance. But as you play through the games with more and more characters, you'll understand, oh, it's just the like trap masters do way more damage than the cores do, or the superchargers do more damage. But I think that's where we're going to wrap it up for today. So we will see you guys next time.